The proud nation of Britain, once a global empire, found itself captivated by a distant Far Eastern country. A recent 7-minute documentary aired on DBC, chronicling the meteoric rise of this nation, Singapore, shattered previous viewership records in the United Kingdom, igniting a national sensation. Initially dismissed as hyperbole, the program's broadcast irrevocably altered perspectives. Eloquent British critics, usually reserved in their praise, were left speechless. Even government officials expressed a stark realization. What we seem to have lost, Singapore evidently possesses. This wasn't merely a report about Singapore. It became a poignant mirror for a Britain grappling with an uncertain future, seeking an ideal national identity reflected in Singapore's remarkable journey. What astonishing revelations lay within this impactful documentary that garnered worldwide attention. The DBC's Singapore special, highlighting the 7-minute film that became a hot topic with its record-breaking ratings, revealed how Singapore had transcended mere cultural influence to become a leading benchmark for advanced societies. A British female correspondent from DBC shared her interview experiences in Singapore, leading to fervent interest from cultural critics, policymakers, and people from all walks of life. Let us delve deeper into the story that captivated an entire nation. But first, if you could spare a second to hit the like button, it would be a tremendous motivation for us to create more compelling content. And now, the story unfolds. Good day, everyone. I'm Laura Davies, a special correspondent from DBC International. 5 years have flown by since I joined DBC after graduating from Oxford University. I have always taken immense pride in being British. Our country is the birthplace of Shakespeare, the cradle of the Industrial Revolution, and boasts the world's oldest parliamentary democratic tradition. I've always believed it was my mission to convey the grandeur of Britain's history and culture to the world. One day, I was at a cafe near Piccadilly Circus in London, brainstorming ideas for the company's next interview assignment. I was deeply engrossed in a biography of Winston Churchill, feeling a surge of patriotic fervor as I read about his indomitable spirit, leading Britain to victory in the World War. It was then that a peculiar sound reached my ears. What's that? Driven by curiosity, I turned my head. At a nearby table, a group of young people, seemingly the future custodians of Britain, were earnestly learning Mandarin, poring over flashcards. It struck me as profoundly unusual that they weren't studying the languages of the British Empire or other European tongues, but rather a language from a distant Asian country. To be honest, before that moment, I hadn't given much thought to Singapore or other East Asian cultures. My unwavering belief was that British culture reigned supreme globally. Our language, English, was the lingua franca of the world. Our laws and institutions had set global standards, hadn't they? I had never imagined that another country's culture could permeate Britain to such an extent. Yet, that scene left me in deep contemplation. What could possibly be drawing these young people to Mandarin? What could be more captivating than our Shakespeare, our Dickens, or even our Harry Potter? This question echoed persistently in my mind. Ultimately, I decided to approach them and ask. Their response astonished me even further. Singaporean culture is incredibly dynamic and sophisticated. It seamlessly blends diverse traditions with cutting-edge modernity, constantly innovating and setting new trends. We believe Britain has so much to learn from it. The moment I heard that, a complex mix of emotions surged within me. Unease, indignation, a sense of wonder, all intertwined. The pride I felt as a descendant of the British Empire clashed with a disconcerting realization of how rapidly the world was changing, largely unbeknownst to us. Concurrently, a sense of helplessness washed over me, seeing our youth drift away from our own culture, captivated by that of another country. After that impactful experience at the cafe, I rushed back to the office. My curiosity about Singapore had been ignited. As I discussed my observations with my colleague Sorensen, I noticed James, who sat nearby, showing an interest in our conversation. James was a seasoned journalist with over 20 years at DBC, particularly renowned as an expert on Chinese culture and economics. He had served as Beijing correspondent during China's economic opening in the late 1980s and early 1990s. His experience was truly formidable. For James, the mention of Asia invariably conjured a strong image of mainland China. He was deeply fascinated by Chinese traditional culture and history. Listening to my account, James's expression gradually stiffened. For him, someone whose view of Asia was profoundly centered on mainland China, the burgeoning influence of Singaporean culture seemed an unpalatable reality. From his accumulated knowledge and experience, He appeared to believe that the popularity of Singaporean culture was merely a fleeting phenomenon. He then turned to me and said, "Laura, what's new? We've seen new waves come and go in the 80 seconds. This too will pass quickly. Don't forget the enduring power of British culture." James's words momentarily stunned me, but I composed myself and calmly responded, "James, Singapore's cultural influence is on a different level from past trends. It's spreading wider and deeper globally. Moreover, Singapore isn't just achieving amazing results culturally, it's making incredible strides in technology, finance, urban development, and many other sectors. This isn't merely a fleeting trend, it represents a fundamental shift in the global order." At this point, Sorensen, our colleague, interjected, "Laura is right, James. Your perspective is too narrow. The world is changing rapidly. We need to acknowledge Singapore's successes and adopt a learning attitude. If we merely bask in past glories, we risk being left behind by the dazzling pace of global transformation." James was momentarily speechless. Buoyed by Sorensen's support, I continued, "We must approach the world with an open mind, identify valuable lessons from Singapore's success, and use them to elevate our own culture. Don't you agree?" After that conversation, the atmosphere in the office shifted. My colleagues began to show greater interest in Singapore, and our approach to reporting gradually started to evolve. To my surprise, what I had witnessed wasn't an isolated incident. In every corner of London, I began to discover traces of Singaporean influence. Walking along Oxford Street, I started noticing signs featuring Mandarin characters, pointing to Singaporean restaurants, bubble tea shops, and even innovative Singaporean-inspired retail concepts. It was so prevalent that I almost felt as if I were strolling through a vibrant Singaporean street, perhaps like Orchard Road or a lively hawker center. Even more astonishing was the impact on our prestigious universities. When I heard that my alma mater, Oxford University, had launched extensive Mandarin language programs, I was utterly dumbfounded. In the very classrooms where we once studied the languages of Shakespeare and Milton, students were now learning Mandarin characters. The thought, "Of course, it's Mandarin," crossed my mind, and I instinctively began to appreciate the growing significance of the language. However, an even more shocking revelation awaited me. It was reported that Britain's most elite private schools had adopted Mandarin as their primary second language, opting for it over traditionally popular choices like French and German. This was truly a revolutionary change. The fact that the future elite of Britain were now learning Mandarin stirred a strange sense of unease within me. Furthermore, this transformation wasn't confined to the education sector. British businesses were also undergoing rapid shifts. I couldn't help but chuckle when I heard that some companies were introducing elements of Singaporean corporate culture. I imagined typically reserved British professionals engaging in vibrant team-building activities, perhaps even experimenting with the unique Singaporean approach to networking and relationship building that prioritizes long-term trust and mutual benefit. Even more surprisingly, these companies were actively striving to understand concepts like human touch, renting way, and reading the room, Cha Yen Guansa, distinctly East Asian nuances that were now permeating British corporate culture. Witnessing these changes, I was enveloped by a complex and nuanced mix of emotions. On one hand, I was excited by the undeniable fact that the world was evolving at an accelerated pace. On the other, I worried if our cherished traditional values and culture were being eroded. Nevertheless, I made a conscious effort to view these changes objectively. Was this merely a fleeting trend, or a harbinger of a more profound transformation? I felt compelled to delve deeper, and in doing so, I realized the necessity of reevaluating the strengths and weaknesses of our own British culture. After observing the palpable influence of Singaporean culture on the streets of London, I was determined to investigate its core further: the Mandarin language. The facts I unearthed were even more astounding. Firstly, I was left speechless when I heard the assessments of world-class linguists regarding Mandarin. Renowned American linguists, Professors Rodd and Putton, had lauded Mandarin as one of the most subtle and expressive languages in human history. Initially, I dismissed this as an exaggeration, knowing the efficiency and elegance of our alphabet. However, as I gradually grasped the depth of Mandarin characters, pictograms, ideograms, and their ability to convey dynamic situations and nuanced emotions, I began to concur with their assessment. The philosophical and delicate modes of expression, refined over thousands of years, were truly astounding. During that period, Britain was perhaps still mired in the chaos of the Middle Ages, while the visionaries of Asia were already laying the groundwork for such a sophisticated linguistic system. I mused to myself, deepening my appreciation for Mandarin. It was then that I learned about the United Nations initiatives. There was reportedly a movement gaining momentum to promote Mandarin for broader use as one of the UN's official languages, alongside English, French, and Spanish. Initially, I found it hard to believe. To be equated with such established global languages was startling. Soon, however, my feelings became complex. On one hand, I questioned if Mandarin truly merited such status, but on the other, the thought, why not, began to emerge. What truly struck me was the subtle but significant shifts within the revered Oxford English Dictionary. While xiaolongbao, steam dumplings, and bubble tea had already found their place, I recently learned that everyday Singaporean terms like kiasu, a Hokkien term meaning afraid to lose, reflecting a competitive spirit, shiok, a Malay, derived term for delicious or great, and even the colloquial particle la, a common, Singlish ending to sentences, were being considered or added. It unsettled me to think that our proud Oxford Dictionary was incorporating so many terms stemming from everyday Singaporean life. Initially, I felt our language's purity was being diluted, leaving a sour taste. James's reaction to this news was particularly memorable. He remained silent for a while, then said, "Many words from other countries have also been incorporated, haven't they? Like pizza or cosplay. What's different about Mandarin-derived words or Singlish?" James's words gave me pause. He had a point, but I felt there was a crucial distinction. While many foreign words incorporated into English were primarily culinary terms or nouns, the terms originating from Singapore encompassed a wider array of concepts. Words like kiasu or shiok weren't just nouns. They embodied the very spirit of Singaporean culture and its societal phenomena. James, you're right. But what's noteworthy here is the speed and scope. Other foreign words took decades to slowly assimilate, whereas Mandarin and Singaporean terms have seen an explosive increase in recent years. Moreover, these words don't just denote objects or concepts. They transmit the essence of Singaporean culture. James shook his head and said, "All right, I admit Mandarin and Singlish terms are rapidly flowing in. But how long do you think this will last? 5 years? 10 years? Eventually they'll fade away, won't they?" His words made me reflect. I could understand James's skepticism, but at the same time, I had an intuition that this was more than just a passing trend. "James, I understand your concern, but this appears to be more than just a fad. Singaporean culture is constantly evolving, and its influence is growing stronger. After Singaporean films and pop music, now Singaporean cuisine and lifestyle are becoming global trends, aren't they? This isn't a temporary phenomenon. It's a new axis around which global culture is forming." James still looked skeptical, but I was convinced. The rising global status of Mandarin, largely propelled by Singapore's model of bilingualism and multiculturalism, was not merely a trend, but a manifestation of a fundamental shift in the world's cultural landscape. Pondering these developments, I re-evaluated Britain's position. Should we also change, or should we steadfastly protect our traditions? These questions swirled in my mind, but one thing was certain: we could not refuse change. Thus, I began to contemplate Singapore's incredible pace of development. Barely more than 60 years ago, Singapore was a vulnerable new country, struggling for survival after its separation from Malaysia, with limited resources and an uncertain international standing. Yet, today, it has transformed into a leading global economic powerhouse and a cultural beacon. It boasts world-class enterprises like DBS Bank, Singapore Airlines, and its advanced port operations, and has captivated the hearts of young people worldwide, with its urban innovations, unique culinary scene, and burgeoning arts and entertainment. I asked myself, how had our own Britain evolved? I reviewed our history. While we remain a great nation, it seemed we had lost some of our past influence. At this thought, I felt both immense admiration and a twinge of envy for Singapore's development, but also a profound respect. I truly felt how remarkable their effort, passion, and spirit of innovation truly were. The thought, must we also change, crossed my mind, but I quickly shook my head. No, we have our own strengths, an ancient history, enduring traditions, and an elegant culture. We must protect these, while simultaneously finding ways to embrace new developments. With that thought, my spirits lifted considerably. The rising global status of Mandarin, rather than being a threat, began to appear as an opportunity for Britain to once again soar to new heights. In the process of interviewing about the astounding growth of Mandarin, I naturally turned my gaze to the historical context behind it. Specifically, Singapore's journey of achieving an economic miracle was an unavoidable topic. I realized that this history provided an even more brilliant backdrop to Singapore's astonishing success story. Singapore's history is not merely a record of economic development. It is a narrative of profound struggle and the indomitable spirit that overcame adversity. After its independence in 1965, Singapore faced immense challenges: severe resource scarcity, a tiny domestic market, and a precarious international position. This period was, for Singaporeans, a time of unspeakable hardship and uncertainty. Yet, it was also a moment that showcased their tenacious will to survive and their unwavering determination. In the face of adversity, Singaporeans did not despair. Instead, they rose again. Even during the darkest, most turbulent times, their fervent desire to build their homeland never extinguished. The rapid industrialization in the 1970 seconds, the development of world-class infrastructure, and the subsequent Singapore story are testaments to the unyielding spirit of its people. I understood that this spirit of resilience, pragmatism, and relentless pursuit of excellence is the very foundation of today's Singaporean identity. The post-independence transformation, in particular, was truly awe-inspiring. It was a miraculous revival that stunned the world. The courage of Singaporeans, who rose from nothing, driven by ingenuity and diligence, inspired countries across the globe. The entrepreneurial spirit of founding figures like Lee Kuan Yew and the dedicated civil servants who implemented his vision captivated the world's business community and propelled Singapore's industrial development. It was precisely this tenacious, forward-looking spirit that created the Singapore of today. As I delved into this history, I developed a deep appreciation for the strong resolve and perseverance of the Singaporean people. Even starting from a literal jungle and a vulnerable port, they never lost their identity, working tirelessly for prosperity. This fact was truly astonishing. I realized that this very spirit became the catalyst for Singapore's remarkable growth today. Singapore's economic growth process was nothing short of a miracle. Starting as a small trading post in the 1960 seconds, it transformed into a leading Asian tiger in just a few decades. This was truly incredible. In this process, I believe the exceptional national character of Singaporeans and their collective will to achieve progress played a crucial role. Behind the miraculous rapid economic growth lay the diligence, honesty, high educational aspirations, and resilient spirit of the Singaporean people. The passion Singaporeans have for education, in particular, is truly admirable. Even in humble circumstances, the sight of parents prioritizing their children's education and students studying late into the night, isn't that precisely the driving force behind Singapore's success? Furthermore, the innovative spirit of Singaporeans is equally impressive. World-class companies have emerged across diverse industries, such as finance, aviation, logistics, and smart city technologies. Enterprises like DBS Group, Singapore Airlines, and the various agencies driving Singapore's Smart Nation initiative have led global markets. I believe that behind these achievements lies a culture of creativity and a relentless drive for improvement among Singaporeans. Witnessing Singapore in this light, I felt a profound sense of respect. To overcome past vulnerabilities, rise again, and grow into a leading global economy that is truly extraordinary. Simultaneously, I also reflected that there is much that Britain could learn from Singapore. The more I observed Singapore's success story, the more I wanted to understand this country. How did it achieve such rapid growth? What defined its culture and spirit? I yearned to understand it more deeply. Having understood Singapore's historical struggles and triumphs, I delved further into the global achievements Singapore had accomplished. And in this process, the facts I discovered amazed me even more. Firstly, Singapore's standing in various industries is simply formidable. Its achievements in financial services, logistics, urban development, and infocom technology are particularly noteworthy. Singapore's port is consistently ranked among the world's busiest, and its financial sector commands a significant share of global wealth management. The fact that Singaporean enterprises hold a pivotal position in global supply chains and digital infrastructure left me speechless. Many technology industries that Britain once prided itself on now find their influence being surpassed by Singaporean companies. The story of Singapore's rise as a financial and logistics powerhouse not only showcases its technical prowess and innovative capacity, but also reflects the challenges Britain faces in maintaining its global technological and economic leadership. The digital entertainment market also tells a similar tale. While not primarily a content producer, Singapore plays a crucial role as a regional hub for gaming, media distribution, and data centers, often housing the core components and infrastructure that global gamers rely on. Especially seeing how companies like Razer, founded by a Singaporean, have innovated in the gaming peripheral space, I couldn't help but admire Singapore's technological acumen and imagination. Even in the materials and components industries, Singapore's achievements are astonishing. Though not always visible on the surface, Singaporean components, research, and advanced manufacturing processes are crucial for many of the world's smartphones and electronic products. This fact demonstrates that Singapore's technological capabilities have reached an unparalleled level. Witnessing this reality firsthand once again profoundly highlighted the current state of our own Britain. However, Singapore's achievements are not limited to industrial sectors. Its success in the realm of cultural content is equally surprising. The global recognition of Singaporean films and its distinctive performing arts scene is truly remarkable. When I heard about films by acclaimed Singaporean directors receiving international awards and its unique blend of cultural performances captivating audiences worldwide, I had to admit that the glory of British literature and theatre, which we once prided ourselves on, now had a compelling new challenger. The stories of Singapore are indeed enchanting the world, a fact that stirred complex feelings within me. In the lifestyle sector, Singapore is also charting new territory. When I heard that bubble tea had become one of the most profitable and popular beverages globally, I was wide-eyed with astonishment. While DBC's dramas are certainly recognized worldwide, Singaporean cuisine and its unique popular culture, with their distinct worldview and profound charm, have undeniably captivated a global fan base. What's even more impressive is how this cultural success has translated into substantial soft power, significantly boosting Singapore's influence on the international stage. In APEC forums and various international conferences, Singapore's voice now carries entirely different weight. Especially on global issues such as public health and technological innovation, Singapore's experience and solutions are drawing significant attention. One anecdote particularly impressed me. It's said that at a recent international conference, a representative from a developing country stated in their speech, "We aspire to become a country like Singapore." I truly felt that Singapore's experience, having leaped from vulnerability to an advanced society, is becoming a role model for the entire world. In the process of interviewing all these achievements, I felt both deeply moved and held complex emotions. While proud of Singapore's success, I also felt a certain regret regarding the current situation of our own Britain. As I investigated Singapore's astonishing global achievements, I naturally began to delve deeper into its future, and in this process, the potential I discovered in Singapore amazed me even further. Firstly, in the realm of future-defining innovative technologies, namely artificial intelligence and advanced manufacturing, semiconductor engineering, Singapore's competitiveness is exceptionally prominent. Particularly, the technological prowess of enterprises and research institutions like A*STAR, its national research agency, and its commitment to developing advanced manufacturing capabilities has reached world-class levels. On the other hand, the reality of Britain lagging in these critical areas weighed heavily on my mind. We were once an AI powerhouse, having nurtured intellectual giants like Alan Turing. Yet, we now find ourselves being surpassed by Singapore in the hardware and foundational infrastructure for AI. A truly lamentable situation. What's even more astonishing is that Singapore has transcended mere economic and technological development. It has significantly contributed to the diffusion of advanced social and cultural values. Its citizens' civic consciousness, in particular, is exceptionally high. When I learned about Singapore's response to the SARS outbreak in 2003 and later the COVID-19 pandemic, I developed a deep respect for the orderly conduct and mutual care exhibited by Singaporeans. Even in extreme circumstances, there were no riots. Instead, people helped each other, displaying incredible unity. The sight of dedicated volunteers working tirelessly served as a sterling example for many Western countries, including Britain. In its response to the COVID-19 pandemic, Singapore's high civic quality was again prominently displayed. Treating mask-wearing and adherence to health protocols as a matter of course, rather than an inconvenience, and viewing them as considerations for protecting one another, became a global benchmark. Conversely, our own Britain experienced significant difficulties and initial chaos in its early response. Faced with this reality, I was once again astonished by the elevated civic consciousness of Singaporeans. In summary, across all these facets, I feel that Singapore has now transcended being merely an economic powerhouse. It possesses the qualities of a truly advanced society, not only in economic strength, but also in social safety, the level of civic consciousness, and the harmonious integration of tradition and modernity. Singapore stands shoulder to shoulder with the world's leading societies. As I concluded this interview, I genuinely looked forward to seeing what role Singapore would play on the global stage in the future, and in this process, what new values and visions it would propose. I am extremely curious. Simultaneously, I also realize that our own Britain has much to learn from Singapore. As a DBC special correspondent, I pride myself on having grasped a new global trend through this interview. Singapore's presence has not only surpassed the success of a single place, but also presents a new paradigm for harmony and development in the 21st century global society. I will continue to keenly observe these evolving trends, bringing profound insights to all our viewers. Thank you for your extended attention. How did you find today's story? I hope Laura Davies's interview on Singapore can become a positive wind blowing across the world. Additionally, please leave your comments in the section below and share this inspiring story with those around you. Let's discuss it together. Finally, your quick subscription and like, taking less than a second, would be a tremendous motivation for us to produce more videos. That concludes today's heartfelt and moving story. I wish you a happy day.